Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome at What's Next, our interview series during Corona times, and I'm really happy today. I'm proud to introduce to you the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Sweden, Linde. Welcome,
Thank you very much.
I'm really happy that you took the time for us to be here. I know you're really busy, so we have 15 minutes to quickly go through some questions. How are you,
I'm fine, actually, but of course there is a lot to do. I didn't think that being a foreign minister and have to stay at home and not travel would mean that you have so much to do.
Yeah, it's weird because you expect to be traveling all the time now, of course. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the questions because I received some questions from our viewers. This is a series that we started in March when everything we went into the lockdown, like all the countries more or less did. So first of all, I would like to know indeed, how does this COVID-19 crisis affect your work as a foreign minister?
Well, the main thing is, of course, that I don't travel. And normally I travel like 120 days in a year. So it's a big difference. On the other hand, all those video meetings, some is not very good. You cannot have, real negotiations on video. Others are very, very good. For example, being able to have meeting like this one. I have had meetings with women peace mediators from 12 different time zones at the same time. That would have taken a year to organize, and now we could have it on Zoom. And also different kind of bilateral video meetings with my foreign minister colleagues has been much, much easier to organize.
Yes.
So, and that's a good thing. So I hope that we can take the good meetings and we don't have to travel so much when we don't need to, but we have also seen how much the personal meeting actually means in some situation.
Absolutely, yeah. And how does do you have to, is most of the work you do related to the COVID-19 crisis now, or is still also business as usual?
There is a lot, but that is mainly taking interviews. I have done roughly 70 interviews, mostly with international media, and trying to inform each other. And we had this big Nordic and EU cooperation when it comes to repatriation of our citizens who had been left all over the world and couldn't come home. But otherwise, I work a lot with the situation in Yemen. I was the only foreign minister who was able to have a full day program since the conflict broke out five days ago. So I continue. I had a meeting with the prime minister on video of Yemen the other day and with all the other actors. Work a lot with Ukraine. We are now in the Troika for OSCE, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. We will be the chairperson, and I personally will be the chairperson from 1st of January next year. So there is a lot that has to do with the OSCE issues.
Yes. We know each other for a long time, especially in the European context. You've been with PES, International Secretary, and you've been in government for quite a while now. At the moment, of course, a special time also in the EU. We have the negotiations on the recovery plan. What are the main concerns of Sweden at the moment?
Well, we think that we need to have some kind of recovery plan. We are totally in favor of that. But also we think it should be well designed, temporary, proportionate, and also budget restrictive, because we have a no bailout principle traditionally from the Swedish side, meaning that every member state is responsible for its own public finances. and to handle debts mutually, that risks undermining the national responsibility for the budget policy. And it's also reached contradiction in the EU treaty. But we have, of course, to do something. And that is what our leaders will discuss now this weekend that is coming. So hopefully there will be an agreement on how to design this recovery fund. But I also think it's important that it's integrate to the green transition. So now when you give out grants, give out loans, whatever it will be after the negotiations, it also have to be used for the green transition. And I think that is an opportunity. For example, now Sweden and many other countries have to give money to the to the flights companies. And I think that it's just fine that we have demands on green transition also on the flights companies, for example.
What is, with you, with such a long-standing experience in international politics and with the EU, what is the main lesson to be drawn from the EU? I know it's a big question, but...
No, but I think it's a very important question, and I think we need to handle that in a kind of a evaluation after this pandemic is over, or at least not in this acute phase. And that is how quickly all the free movement in EU, both when it comes to persons, but also when it comes to goods, was being hindered, where we have export restriction on medical equipment, where countries closed their borders, where suddenly the national interest took so much precedence over the common European interest. And I think that's something that we need to look upon, not the least in border areas. I know for you have a lot of border cooperation, and we also in the Nordic countries have a lot of border cooperation that from one day to another didn't work anymore, for work, for families, for shopping, everything. And that it was so easy to stop something that has taken decades to build. That is worrying.
Yeah, it was quite shocking.
But I think I must say that the first month was not the best for EU, but I think it has become better, and I think there has been more cooperation in EU the last month than the first.
Okay. I have a totally different question. You are Sweden is well known for its feminist foreign policy. And I was wondering, what does that mean? Can you give an example on that?
Yeah, the feminist foreign policy, and I have to say now it's several other countries who has been following us, is that you always take a gender perspective. You look at what is the resources, the rights, the representation of women. How do you get women into the foreign policy, if it's trade, if it's peace negotiation, if it's development cooperation, if it's sexual and reproductive health and rights. As one concrete example is women, peace and security. We know for sure that if you have women in the negotiation for peace, that peace treaty will be much more sustainable, because women has other contact points. You have other issues inside the treaty. For example, sexual violence that is used in conflict. If there are no women in the discussion of a peace treaty, they don't take this as part of the peace treaty, and you get impunity for the perpetrators. But if there are women, mostly you take this inside the peace agreement, as one example. And also now, for example, when some countries uses the pandemic as an excuse for pushing back the sexual and reproductive health and rights. If you have a feminist foreign policy, you should always put that also as a priority. We will also take part in the United Nations Women's Generation Equality. They have 6 action groups. And Sweden, together with Mexico and I think Germany and some other countries, we will be in the leadership of women and economy. So to work on how to get more women into the economic sphere globally, and how to get the possibility for women to have their own job, to have their own money, to have rights when it comes to heritage and everything like that. So more or less, you should always ask, where are the women? Put your gender glasses on.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I also received a question regarding Palestine. Sweden recognized Palestine, but we've seen now a situation where Israel is saying they want to annex more parts. How can we avoid that? Because this has been such a long conflict, and I know you personally, but also the Swedish party have been, and the Swedish government been really involved in that traditionally. Do you see any positive, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, actually now it's not very easy to see the light in the end of the tunnel. You know, Sweden has recognized Palestine, as has all in all 9 members of EU, and in total more than 130 countries has recognized Palestine. And the reason for that is that we deeply believe in a 2-state solution, Israeli state and a Palestinian state, and then there has to be 2 states. But now the new Israeli government, which we totally think we should have good relation with and so on, but they are thinking of annexation of the West Bank. And if there will be annexation of the West Bank, that will be very difficult then to continue to work for a 2-state solution. All EU ministers on Monday, we had a meeting together with United States Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And this was one issue where almost all EU countries are really working to avoid the annexation and to ask United States to help us, because it will be contrary to 2-state solution. And the United States is saying that they want a 2-state solution.
Yeah, but with this government it will be difficult.
Very, very, very difficult. But all of us has really to now prioritize and concentrate our efforts to avoid the annexation.
Yes, I agree. We are slowly coming to the end of this session. I have one quick last question. With this COVID-19 crisis situation, we see a lot of things changing. Our life is changing. Do you see anything positive coming out of this?
Well, I think there has been a lot, not the least from the civil society, who has, for example, tried to get food to elderly who has been isolated in their homes. There has been a lot of helping each other, to show responsibility by keeping social distancing, to show that you have, as a citizen in society, you have a personal responsibility. And I think it's amazing how many people has shown that, and by that helped to hinder the transmission of the virus. It's not easy. I mean, there has been lockdowns, there has been forbidden to visit your own grandparents or parents, and people has actually kept up with that, and that is something you show the strength of people, and I think that is something that we should build on. People don't only think of themselves, they show solidarity, and that is good. Well, thank you very much, Aaron. Yes. I'm very glad that you asked me to take part in this, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Linde, and thank you very much, viewers. Linde has a very busy schedule, and good luck with all the important work you're doing. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.